Hello children, welcome to your biology class. Look here. Here you saw some mangoes, right? Some mangoes. Let me ask you a question. How fruits are made in trees? How fruits are made in trees? Yes. Fruits are formed in trees from flowers, right? From flowers. You have learned about in your lower classes. Clear? Yes, fruits are formed from flowers. The next question, by which process? Which is the main process held for the fruit formation from flowers? Yes, of course, that is pollination. That is pollination. Then what is pollination? What is pollination? Yes, pollination is the transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma. Pollination is the transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma, right? That is called pollination. And you know that pollination happens by some agents, right? With the help of some agents, the pollination happens in flowers, right? Yes. That agents are called pollinators. The agents which help for pollination is called pollinators. You know the examples of the pollinators, right? Examples. Yes, of course. Insects, birds, winds, raindrops, etc. The examples of pollinators, right? They are the important pollinators because they help to carry the pollen grains from anther to stigma during pollination, right? They are the pollinating agents or pollinators. Then next question from me, you know how to classify the pollination? How to classify the pollination? Yes, there are two types of pollination, right? Pollination can be classified into two. First one is self-pollination and second one is cross-pollination. Self-pollination and cross-pollination. Do you know what is self-pollination and cross-pollination, right? Yes. The transfer of pollen grains from stamen to stigma occurs in the same flower is called self-pollination, right? The transfer of pollen grains from stamen to stigma occurs in the same flower is termed as self-pollination. Clear? Yes. If the transfer of pollen grains from stamen to stigma occurs in the different flowers of the same plants or different plants is termed as cross-pollination. Transfer of pollen grains occurs in the different flowers of same plants or different plants is termed as cross-pollination. You got it right? Yes. Now the pollen grains on the stigma of the flower, right? After pollination, the pollen grains will be on the stigma of flower. Now what will happen? You should answer me for that. What will happen now? Yes, let us watch. You know that the pollen grains which reached on the stigma has male gametes, right? Pollen grains has male gametes. There are two male gametes inside the pollen grains. Two male gametes, two cells. Clear? I have to say that two cells have half number of chromosomes. That two cells have half number of chromosomes. Such type of cells are called haploid cells. Haploid cells. Haploid cells. You know what is haploid cell, right? A cell with half number of chromosome is called haploid cell. Haploid cell. So the male gamete inside the pollen grain is haploid cell. Then what about the egg cell inside the ovule? Egg cell, yes, that also haploid, right? That also haploid. That also has half number of chromosome. So the egg cell inside the ovule also has half number of chromosome. You got it right? Yes. So if any cell has full set of chromosome, no, if any cell has full set of chromosome, no, we can call them diploid cell. Diploid cell. The cell with full set of chromosome in nucleus is called diploid cell. Okay, then I have to check your previous knowledge, no. You have learned in your lower class. During the fusion of male gamete and female gamete. Male gamete has half number of chromosome and female gamete also has half number of chromosome. That means male gamete and female gamete both are haploid cell, right? Okay, after their fusion, what will form? A zygote, a new cell. Zygote will form them. Okay, then I have to ask you a question. Is zygote haploid or diploid? Yes, you are correct. Zygote is diploid, right? Because it has full set of chromosomes. That chromosomes reach from the male gamete and female gamete. The zygote become a cell with full set of chromosome. So zygote is diploid cell. You got it right? Yes, very good, my dear. So the pollen grain which lands on the stigma after pollination has two male gametes. That cells are haploid cells. Now let us have a discussion about the change happen here. Are you ready for that? Yes, look here. After pollination, a tube starts to grow out from the stigma and travel through the style. This tube is called pollen tube. The pollen tube travels through the style and reaches to the ovary. Clear? Then it will penetrate into the ovule and then reach to embryo sac. Which has the egg cells. You got it? When you observe the embryo sac inside the ovary, you can see the egg cell and polar nuclei. Have you seen it? Polar nuclei, right? Polar nuclei and egg cell. Here the polar nuclei also haploid. The male gametes of pollen grain travels through the pollen tube and reach to the ovary, right? Then enters into the embryo sac. The first male gamete fuse with the egg cell. And zygote is formed. The first male gamete fused with the egg cell and zygote is formed. That zygote is diploid, right? Diploid cell. Clear? Then the second male gamete fused with the polar nuclei or secondary nuclei and form endosperm. Here inside the ovary, zygote and endosperm formed. Here fertilization happened twice, right? So we can say that plants have double fertilization. For the formation of zygote and endosperm. Formed. Then the zygote divides several times to form an embryo within the ovule. The ovule develops a tough coat and is gradually converted into seeds. Now you got the idea now how the seeds form inside the fruit? Yes, seeds form from embryo. Embryo form from the zygote. Clear? Yes. Endosperm provides nutrients for the growing embryo. The embryo needs nutrients, right? For the proper growth. The ovary grows rapidly and ripens into fruits. Okay, the ovary becomes the fleshy part of the fruits, right? Clear? Okay.